Mandalorian season 3.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
is your opinion on this?
I have been greatly enjoying it.
Yeah, even the newest
Yep.
one,
Even the newest one.
because I've heard a lot of people say it was terrible.
Yeah. I know the reaction I heard on social media about it was people being like, "Oh, is this show turning into a who's the guest star of the week this time or whatever?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking like, are you not remembering season one? Season one had a ton of guest stars.
Oh yeah, but is that
Like
was that the
that's this just
criticism
the
I heard? That wasn't the
huh?
criticism that I got from it. I didn't. I just heard
Oh,
it was just cheesy and silly.
I mean, there were a few moments where when I was watching it, I was kind of thinking like, okay, I guess this is something they're doing now. Um, so it wasn't a perfect episode by any means, but I did overall still appreciate what the episode was um and it kind of having a little bit of a change of pace for the show.
I didn't see it, so I haven't seen it yet. The one with
Oh,
Jack
fair
Black,
enough. Yeah.
but that's where I am right now. That's the next
Hmm.
episode for me. So,
So okay, so you're caught up on everything but that one.
mhm.
Okay.
That being said, I'm enjoying the third season. I thought it was that's
Right?
great. I
Absolutely.
especially enjoyed the last one with the pirates.
Hmm.
I thought it was fantastic.
Like, yeah, I don't know if I would point out any specific episode of this season that I would be like, oh, that episode was boring, or oh, I don't know why that episode was in this season, or
Hmm.
anything along those lines. I felt like they've all been good.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like I don't see how they're connected yet, or something like that, but I wouldn't have any issues with everything so far. So
Hmm.
um, and same with what the one we just had. Like I think that the episode was definitely with a little bit of exception, basically the beginning and end of it. The episode is very much a filler episode in the way that most TV shows usually have a few filler episodes. That
Yeah.
it's just like this episode doesn't ultimately really do anything for the main plot. It's just, we have so many episodes to do and we don't need all of them to tell our story. So we'll just kind of expand on a few things and just have a few fun moments or whatever. But that's admittedly part of the reason I like TV shows over movies is that movies are so like and not to say it's all movies, but a lot of times movies are very much like, yeah, we have to hit all the beats
Hmm.
of the story, and we only have so much time to do it, and we gotta keep things moving, you
Right.
know.
But that's the art of a movie. When you do it
Yeah.
well enough that you don't notice it and you still entertain and you have this concise package of like 2 hours or whatever the length is,
Hmm.
and it works. It
Yeah.
can seeing a great movie is a wonderful experience.
Sure.
But that's the thing. It's just a bad movie. And the problem I have with in the opposite effect, I do agree. I like TV shows a lot because it gives it more time to expand upon the characters and you can really get into it long term
Hmm.
and really enjoy um, the world, the world building that's not possible in a film unless you have unless it's like Lord of the Rings or something, um, or a series of films, that is slowly building a world like Harry Potter or whatever, Star Trek. They work as that would work as a TV show as well. Hell, Harry Potter could work as a TV show, easy.
Oh yeah, effortlessly. In fact, some may even argue like, why did we have movies instead of TV shows in the first place?
Right. Sometimes I think that some things could be better told as a film,
Hmm.
or could be told as like two films or three films. There are some TV shows that just drag it out for the sake of dragging it out.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Um, Show that comes to mind is a show on Netflix called Manifest.
Didn't see that. Does that have to do with like a plane
Yeah,
that has it? I guess appears 2 years later,
Yes.
something.
5 years later, yeah.
Okay, so I'm familiar with it then, at least, but
Yeah.
I've not seen it. No.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those films that are not. It's one of those shows that just it's been on for I forget we're in season 4 now. It feels like season 5, but it's season 4 now, and we're waiting for the next half of it to come up because it hasn't to drop later this year. They don't know when,
Sure.
And I hope they wrap it up because they really, over the course of 4 seasons, they've kept you dragging along, and they've never really answered anything. I mean, over the course of 4 seasons, because they've kept moving the goalpost, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those shows that does that. Oh, this is what's going on. Oh, this is in the next season. Oh no, actually, we were wrong about that thing. This is what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They keep moving the goalpost, and then the next season, we're on a completely different subject matter, a completely different thing. But then they're saying, oh, but this does connect to this. So the whole premise is that it's all connected. So I'm hoping that towards the end that they're doing all of these diversions to bring it all together into some big reveal, which is what they've kind of been alluding to. We only have like 5 more episodes to go.
Yeah, if the main question is for that show, because I haven't seen it, is like, okay, well, how did this happen? Where have they been these 5 years? What's the deal? If that question has not been answered up till this point, like 4 seasons later, yeah, I could see that being a sense of like, okay, show, you created this premise, can you give us something?
Mm-hmm. They kind of gave you something, but it's like nonsensical.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, they were in the, since you're probably not going to watch it, I'll just spoil it.
I don't expect to.
And I don't recommend it. But I'm just like, I've seen it now.
You're in too deep now, though.
In too deep now, yeah. They disappeared because they're whatever. They kind of basically went to another dimension, or it's like they're in the divine, the god, or whatever.
Okay.
But they don't define what that is, of course, yet. So they haven't really answered the question.
Yeah, I mean,
they just kind of hinted at the idea. What is this? Something to do with sapphire and certain types of elements that create these problems with these people. They think they're having these premonitions to help people, and they hear these voices in their head. Help this person. Help this. Do this. Do that. It's all connected. You hear their inner monologue talking, but it turns out towards the end of the season, it's like, no, these aren't premonitions. These are memories.
Okay.
So they don't explain that yet. So my guess is that it's something to do with, it's memories because they actually didn't die, and they're actually re-experiencing their life. Or so I don't know because everybody thought they were dead, and they zipped forward 5 years. One of the kids is young, and then he ends up disappearing when he touches an object that was part of the flight, and comes back, but he comes back and he's 5 years older. So he's like an older kid now.
Okay.
So it's all really kind of convoluted, and they just tease you with like little bits of information throughout 4 seasons, and a lot of like bullshit interpersonal drama with the characters and family this and that,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely figured that part would be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely does not sound like one I would want to get invested in.
No, I don't know. Dank Ferrick. Is that what it is? That's the Star Wars swear?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. But I guess in Andor, somebody made a big deal about it. Like, that was the first time they actually said shit in an episode.
I'm so desensitized to most swears that they just roll right over me. So
oh, I know.
That's fair. That very likely could be.
But they're not. Oh my God, they're not supposed to swear. Use conventional swears. It's a galaxy far, far away. They don't have the same. Why? They speak the same language. Why wouldn't they have the same swears?
Mm-hmm.
Why would they have these nonsensical? I know Star Wars is big on baby talk, but Jesus,
right?
It's hard to take Star Wars seriously, and you shouldn't. Star Wars is not meant to be taken seriously. It never was. It's supposed to be a fun cowboy, good versus evil, white hat versus black hat, with a slight social commentary on the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
if you want to, for that reason, but that's it. But the overall premise of Star Wars is to be good versus, it's still good versus evil,
Hmm.
and a fun action science fiction story world to get lost in a fantasy, a fun, like a serial,
Yeah.
like
Exactly. Yeah.
it's all it was based on. Same with Indiana Jones, the same stuff. So to take something like Star Wars and like turn it into something serious, like it's serious sci-fi. It's not 2001. Okay, this is not Stanley Kubrick sci-fi level stuff.
I'm fine with like if they, with the evolution of the series, whatever, if they want to try to add some of that,
I
I would
guess,
be
but
fine with it.
but I just Star Wars just doesn't seem to lend itself like to that very well.
Mhm.
It is a very cowboy kind of cowboys in space. I mean, and Mandalorian solidifies that kind of.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mandalorian is very much has very much a cowboy feel to many of the circumstances.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely don't have the issues that many other people apparently had with the most recent episode. I still enjoyed it. With, as I said, the acknowledgement that it is still basically a filler episode. And maybe they went slightly overboard on the cameos or whatever, guest stars, whatever you want to call them for this episode, because we do have 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, so most recent Mandalorian episode, 3 cameos. So, one of them, I actually didn't realize a cameo because I'm not familiar with her, but is a rapper named Lizzo. Didn't know her on
Oh,
sight.
she's the one with
Wouldn't
Jack
know.
Black?
Yes, and yeah, Jack Black is in it. So
Jack
there you
Black.
go.
I knew he's the only one I knew. I've seen the picture of her, so it must be like Lizzo or what. I didn't know who that was though.
Yeah, that was kind of I didn't realize she was a cameo until I found out later people were talking about it. I was like, oh, okay, cool, because I'm just not familiar with her. Wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
I
I've
don't
heard the
listen to that
name,
stuff,
but I
so.
didn't know what she looked like.
Yeah.
So yes, and so yeah, you already know Jack Black is in it.
Mhm.
But yeah, the other cameo is Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, well, that's right. I did hear about
Yeah,
Christopher Lloyd being in it.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's one way.
I heard that like, oh, the episode sucked, but like Christopher Lloyd's in it, so it's worth watching.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a filler. Like the majority, like more all but 5 minutes of the episode, I would say is basically just filler episode. Like it doesn't really need to exist in the grand scheme of things.
Kind of like episode 3 of The Last of Us.
Yeah, that's also kind of fair to say in the grand scheme of things, with the exception of the last 5 minutes of
Right.
Joel's reaction with the letter, etc.
Right. Yeah.
It's not actually adding anything to the greater story.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty much that sums up the situation too. Like there's maybe some commentary that could be viewed with what they're going for this one individual episode. But all in all, generally speaking, if this were a movie and you were to cut this as a scene in the movie, nobody would miss it. But that's, like I said, one of the things I like about TV shows is that you can sometimes just have an episode
right
that does stuff a little different.
And that's the thing that bothers me is it's like people get all pissed off because one episode didn't meet their expectations. So then the whole show sucks.
Right.
And it's like, what? Wait a minute. You're talking about one episode. That's like saying like a movie. That's like saying like, I didn't like those 10 minutes in this 3-hour movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole movie sucks because 10 minutes of it I didn't like.
Yeah,
right?
I just walked out of the theater at that point. I'm never even going to consider going past there.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, these extreme reactions are mind-boggling to me. Like,
reactionary.
I can't even think of a movie that I've watched that I would legitimately walk out of at this.
No,
at this point.
I've never done that.
We sat through all of Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, I know shit, right? If you can sit through that, yeah, you definitely have patience. I don't know, reactionary in general. Like everybody wants to be sensational, so especially like everybody wants to have the most hot take on whatever you're talking about. And this is online brain. And
True. Yeah, it's true. If you did a post where you were like, I just saw this and I thought it was okay.
Yeah, no one can think.
Yeah.
It's like, I have the hottest mediocre takes. It's just, yeah. It's just like, look, nothing's perfect. I can find the good in anything. And I can also find the bad in anything. It's all a matter of degree. It's just a matter of, okay, there are more bad things in this than there are good. Or there are more good things than there are, whatever, than there are bad. So you judge it based. That's the way I kind of judge things. It's like, okay, well, yeah, there are good things, but they don't outweigh the bad. So I didn't care for it. Right. There isn't one specific thing, very, very rare, where there would be one specific thing that's going to bother me so much that I got to get hung up on it.
Mm-hmm.
That I'll say, oh, it's terrible as a result of one tiny thing or one thing specifically. It's got to culminate,
Yeah, no, I could also agree with that sense that some reason comedy is coming to my main idea of like a genre. It's like,
well, it's a perfect example because you have like what's funny
yeah.
and what's not funny, but it is subjective. But everything's subjective. But
yeah. Well, I was thinking in the way that like it has even things that aren't like funny in their own merit still are moving forward a humorous vibe that you're feeling that's getting you in the mood for when there is a joke you find funny. You're like, oh, okay, I can laugh at that. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you're watching a comedy that maybe has like one or two good jokes and yet a whole bunch of it is just like, that's stupid. I don't care. That's stupid. You're just not in the mood for when
History
something
of the
funny
world
does come along. Yeah, history. Yeah, there you go. That's History of the World Part 2.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would be exactly what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
For that feel of just like I was so far removed from any possibility of laughing from the stuff that was just like, what are you guys doing here?
Mm-hmm.
That when there was a few things that if it had been by itself and I was already in a better place to be in a humorous laugh mood, I probably would have found it funnier.
Right.
Had it not been attached to the stuff that I was already just like not invested in at all.
Right. And then there's that, like I said, like overall, you take the good with the bad, and it's like I can say generally review something, it's just not that great. But I can also watch something that, even though I find something that's not that great, I can still find the good in it. And I can still say, okay, well, this is this, and I can still enjoy it for what it is. Certain things. Like if it's Battlefield Earth level bad, then probably not. But
yeah,
that's I'm not going to ever put myself through that torture again.
I am hard pressed to think of much redeeming qualities for that movie to say for a reason of why I would give it another attempt.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, there's a couple of cool action sequences at the very, very end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in that sense, I could just look up those action sequences online and see if they do okay on their own merit without having to sit through, the 90% of the movie to get to them.
Forrest Whitaker was also in that too. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, well, I want to say that maybe the first movie I ever saw him in. I can't think of anything else I've seen him in before that.
Yeah, I've never met him, but if I ever occasionally I get myself involved in circumstances where I could potentially meet a celebrity. If I ever meet him, I'll go, Battlefield Earth.
Right?
He'll look at me like
Scientologist.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're Scientologist? I'm like, no. That movie was so terrible. I just do that with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does that. Elaine did that with Robin Williams. She said, death to Smoochie. Actually, she didn't say death to Smoochie. She quoted the movie. She said, friends come in all sizes.
Fair enough.
And he said, oh, Jesus, nobody quotes that fucking movie.